Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a recognition in the chambers at the moment, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Second. Okay, all in favor, aye. All right, we'll come back and commence the meeting after this. Write that on record. Okay, let's reconvene the meeting. Can I get a motion?
So made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Meeting back in session. Okay, I hope everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from November 4th?
Move it.
Motion, we got a second. Any discussion, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, let's move on to PS1, resolution authorizing budget modification to transfer funds from Emergency Medical Services, ARPA, account line to Workforce Development, ARPA Federal Aid line.
So moved.
Got a motion, second? We got a second, thank you, Herb. Kathy?
Okay, we had an intern ARPA project that we started last year with initially $20,000 that you guys approved. We had some funding left in it that we didn't use, or that's been is remaining, and we'd like to take that funds. It was for EMT education, and so we'd like to move that to Workforce New York, who we are partnering with, along with a few other agencies in the county, to help get an EMT program underway at City BOCES. It's part of their public safety and buses program, and they're trying to do an EMT program where there's certain students that come out of the program where they eligibility to take the state exam and become EMTs right out of the program, which is something that we always want to make employable and, have better education in EMTs. They're ready to go into the community. So we had $9,000 left over in our ARPA funds, and that's what this resolution is for, to move it to that. So there's one agency moving the funds to City BOCES through Workforce Development.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
PS2, resolution authorizing the amendment of a lease agreement regarding the Granby Tower site with T-Mobile Northeast LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, successor in interest to Nextel WIP Lease Corporation. Can I get a motion? Got a motion, got a second, thank you. Herb, Jeff?
This is at our Granby Tower site, looking for approval to continue to add on to the current lease that's in place with some modifications. The biggest modification is that the previous escalator was built at 15% at the 5-year renewal. So we've got 12% at the 5-year renewal, which is right now, and then 3% annually going forward, which will end up being more in our favor continuing. So that's the big change to that. They aren't taking up any more additional space. They're not taking up any more tower real estate. There's no issues with the tower or anything out there. So really just the money and continuing the time frame is the only difference. So,
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. PS3, resolution authorizing budget modification E911 overtime. Can I get a motion?
So made.
Herb,
Second.
thank you. Oh, all seconded, thank you. Kev, go ahead.
so this is a request to move some money from salaries and wages into overtime. We're continuing with training. We're doing pretty good with staffing at this point, but we have a ton of training over the next year and a half to continue with. Also, a large portion of this, the last request that I made was increased due to one of our part-timers going out on medical leave for about 2 months, and then another one of our part-timers being unavailable for a larger period of time. So that's
So
what
primarily driven by training. So,
this is large. Yes, this is driven. It's not forced or mandatory overtime, or there is a little bit of coverage in there, but it's the backfill for the training portion. Yes. So.
any discussion? Mel?
Is this, you said you have an awful lot of training coming up next year. Is this just the regular, or are there new mandates on there that you have to do different training?
This is the getting everybody, all of the new people that we've hired over the past year and a half, cross-trained across all the different positions, because they first become a 911 call taker during that 6-month period, and then about 6 months later we put them into fire EMS dispatch. And then they're there for about 6 months, and then we put them into city law training, and then for 2 months, and then 2 months in the county. So it takes all that amount of time, and until we start getting this round right now, will actually get us further away from the overtime for next year, which should put us in a lot better place, assuming everybody stays. It's making sure that we have the different positions covered as we're doing those trainings.
Okay, so it is the training that you have to do. It isn't any that New York or the feds have
They
said.
haven't made any changes. I mean, we've made changes internally to, include the technology and stuff that we're starting to, embrace now,
Okay,
but nothing that's come down from the state.
okay. Thank
Is there anything we could do with work schedules to include as much of this training as possible during the regular hours rather than overtime?
Well, that's what we're doing. It's not actually, the trainees aren't actually picking up much overtime unless it's a transition into the daytime schedule or out of the daytime schedule. It's more having people cover those particular positions on shift when those trainees are in the training classes, because we still aren't able to, we don't have people cross-trained to hit all of the different positions behind the scenes after we pull that one person off to get trained until they're trained into that position. So, like I said, with this round of fire EMS dispatch and city law, we're doing a county law training after the first of the year. And really, after that portion, we should be, and knocking on wood here, we should be in a lot better shape of not having to backfill as much as we have this year, because we were literally down to 4 people on 3 of the shifts. One of the shifts had 5, and that was just enough to just barely cover the basics. So trying to backfill as we've added those people in now is really where all of this money is. So it's unfortunately not really a scheduling thing that we can really do when you're pulling 4 or 5 people off of their shifts to try and cover for that. So,
Legislator Klein.
Yes, Kevin, just from what you explained there, you've got a program that's going to be ongoing anyway, pretty much, correct?
I mean, if we can keep our employees, then we should be good after we get through the county law training. We'll have another round of training next year. So if things stay the way they are right now, at the end of next year, we should be in a lot better place overtime-wise and training-wise than we will be. There'll always be continual trainings and stuff like that, but the benefit to being able to do continual trainings is we can pull a person or 2 off of a shift during their regularly scheduled shifts to do the refresher stuff that we need to do with that. It's all the initial training that takes this amount of time and takes this amount of effort.
All right, well, shame on me, I didn't bring my budget book with me, but did you increase overtime in your budget? Because it sounds like you're going to need it anyway.
It's not increased over what was asked for this year. It's a little bit of a decrease from this year, but it's definitely an increase from where we were 3 years ago. So.
Because the only thing I get frustrated about is you come back, and it'd be any one of these department heads, comes back in 6 months and says, oh, by the way, I need.
Understood.
Well, put it in now.
Agreed.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. PS4, resolution authorizing payment to the New York State Comptroller Spill Fund. Spill Fund number 21-08648-39, Churchill Road.
Yeah, move it.
Motion, second. Thank you, Herb. John?
We had an oil spill in the garage. DEC was called. I guess they contracted with somebody to clean it. It was all contained in a catch basin, so there's not really any spill as far as I know. And 2 or 3 years later, I guess they sent a bill to Phil or to somebody down here, but we weren't even aware of it until we were told it was put on the agenda.
It was sent to us by DEC, and we got an extension to pay it without penalty.
Why it was never sent to us, or we were never notified or anything, I can't answer that.
Yeah, I just got the letter a few days ago, November 15th.
We do carry insurance for this, so in the future, they had a similar incident, they could let us know. The carrier will pick up the response to the remediation costs.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. PS5, resolution authorizing budget modification for Sheriff's Office Jail Kitchen Equipment Upgrade.
So move.
Got a motion, can I get a second? Second?
Second.
Okay, in the last 2 months, 2 of our cooking devices, a tilt skillet and a kettle. I've had some major problems. We've been told by the company that normally comes in and repair them, they're not worth repairing. Our kitchen staff has asked us, I believe 3 years in a row, we put in for a capital project, but then never requested because we keep trying to string them along. When they came to us and told us the problem and the cost of repairing some of the equipment, we looked for a way to fund some of it without doing the $1 million capital project. We did have our coolers repaired over the summer, and the walk-in cooler and the grease trap appear to be working okay right now. So what we're looking to do is, instead of the $1 million capital project, take $230,000 of money that we have in an account for housing females out, we normally use it for, but because the corrections staff has moved one of the pods, made another female pod about 1.5 years ago, our budget had $230,000, we believe, extra in it this year. So we're looking to move that and do some of that kitchen work as soon as possible, so that we can get the ovens and the dishwasher and the ice machine, I think, back up and running. And they're all original equipment from the jail. Was built about 35 years ago. They're rusted. They're held up by crates, and they're pretty bad shape. Matter of fact, I brought photos in case there was any issues or anybody wanted to see them. But when they started pointing out the issues, our stove is held closed with a vise. There's a large vise on top that gets squeezed. The tilt skillet needs 2 men to lift it and dump what's cooked in it. So if there's not 2 men working in the kitchen crew, apparently they find another way to cook right now.
Any discussion, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. PS6, resolution accepting revenue for County of Oswego local law number 3 of 2024, entitled Oswego County Traffic Diversion Program. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All right, this is accepting money. Again, it's about $80,000 this month, and then it'll be dispersed to the downtown and the district attorney's office. Any questions? Any issues? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a walk-on PS7. Anybody need a copy? We have more up here if you need them. Resolution entering a maintenance agreement for microwave radio link radio E911. I get a motion.
So moved.
Second? Thank you, Herb. Kev, go ahead, you got the floor.
All right, thank you for allowing the walk-on. Motorola just recently got me a quote that I could actually forward on. So this is the microwave equipment that we purchased under grants the past 3 years. Motorola had worked it out that the warranty periods of all those would expire at the end of this year. And we'd be eligible to enter into an extended warranty to cover the firmware, software updates of those radios, and then if we have to take and send any of those radios back for service to the manufacturer. So this is a 5-year contract that they're offering fixed rate for the next 5 years. So it starts January 1st, 25 and December 31st, 29.
Okay, any questions, issues, discussion?
Just a question, do we have to pay the 36 every year, or do we have to come up with 180 now?
We're paying that right now, and I do have that included for this year's budget.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on to reporting departments. We'll start with EMS. Nate?
Morning, everybody. I'm pretty heavy with education lately. Our advanced EMT class, original and refresher, is ongoing. It will wrap up early 2025, first week of February. So, this is the first advanced class we've ran in at least probably 10 or 15 years, if not longer. So it's been going very well. I'm very happy with how that's going. A couple of snafus with like ordering some medical supplies as far as shortages nationwide, but we've gotten through that. So hopefully class will continue to run.
Good.
Our EMT Academy class finished with 7. They shall be taking their state exam this month, if not early next year, and then be on the road. Continuing to work with workforce. Debbie touched on the ARPA funds. Continuing to support multiple stop and bleed classes throughout the year. SAVAC Epic Hodge has been borrowing training equipment pretty regularly. Fire departments have been borrowing our stop and bleed kits, so that program is ongoing and working pretty well. If anyone wants any stop and bleed training, we'd be happy to help facilitate that. Recently working on some stuff with the public health and safety team. They're spinning up a mock overdose fatality review committee to help, identify how these things can be preventable. So we're helping support that team as they get spun up. Looking ahead into 2025, as far as the county, it's an AED program. We ordered some pads and some batteries, so January we'll be making our rounds and resupplying and restocking a lot of the county some AEDs to make sure they're up to par. Other than that, business is normal. If anyone has any questions.
Terrific. Any questions for Nate?
What is the next, I'm sorry, somebody else.
No, so go, no.
When is the next EMT class?
As of right now, the next class will probably be on the March timeline. Men are usually running an academy in that timeline, and then we typically run some classes around in the spring.
In the spring of the year.
Yep, I'm looking to identify some instructors. Lately, it's been tough to find instructors willing to fit this in their schedule, but I think we'll be having some people who need to teach a class coming up to keep their instructor cards. That's usually when we get them wanting to teach. So I know there's been interest, and there's a new instructor from the Phoenix area who wants to teach a class. So we're looking to partner with them maybe on a class in the spring, and then our regular classes up. Try to move them around throughout the county to make sure there's opportunity for everybody. So
Okay, so basically springtime.
hopefully, yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on, Kathy?
Thank you. So we're working on a few plan updates. We're working through an update to our mass casualty incident plan, as well as our severe winter weather plan. Did some monitoring over the weekend for the storm that fortunately kind of circumvented Oswego County. Thankful for. We're working with some of the municipalities on the federal declaration that was up for some funding. Perry working on both of those in your department. So a few counties, New Haven, Richland, what's the third one? Phoenix had some issues relating to the storm, so they might be eligible for some funding. So other than that, tomorrow, just make you aware, is the siren test day at 1 o'clock. So you'll hear all the sirens going off for about 3 minutes. Just a test, biannual test. I sent this around, but I'm sure Shane said he had some cover of it. Is New York State provides these, and there's some information in there on how to dispose of them. Pushes you to a website, and I'll let him after that. That's the additional information for that. But that was in our office, so I thought I'd bring it for you to share, because I know you've asked in the past on how to get rid of some lithium-ion batteries.
Thank you.
It's wonderful that the chairman's here, because we're working on an online tier 2 training for you instead of the in-person version of it. The state is working right now on that, and I know that you have to complete that by the end of the year, so we've got 25 days to get that to you. So we'll keep up on the state to let you know when that is.
All right.
I'm sure I'll go through Betsy on that one. Other than that, as for the drone program, I think Kevin can probably give the update on the DFR piece of it, where we stand with that. And we did recently receive notification that we did get a $2,500 grant from the Shenman Foundation. So I don't know when that's coming through, so I can't put it through next month, but we'll do it in January. But I don't know how they're giving us the funds, but we'll get it to you guys for approval. And lake levels are down. Any additional questions?
Questions for Kathy? Mention that. Hearing none, let's move on to Kevin at 911.
Alrighty, I'm going to start off with apologizing. I sent the September report instead of the October report, so I will email it out to everybody so you actually have the correct report. As far as consortium-wide, well, our numbers continue to be about the same. We are seeing an uptick in the percentage of emergency calls answered within 15 seconds, which is a good thing since we have dedicated call takers at the moment. The recruit class of 4 is about to be released a week after they're done next Friday, so they will be put on their shifts and signed out. So that'll bring us at the moment to 7 on each of the shifts and 8 on one of the shifts. So that's a very, very good thing, and we're just, again, knocking on wood that continues. So as far as management activities, consortium-wise, we are working on a consortium governance project that is going to be for all of Central New York, the Interoperable Consortium. And one of the 2 leads that's on that particular project for the consortium, it'll give a lot of the handshake agreements that we have in place, and this is how you're going to operate, this is what the radios you're going to use, and this is how you go to another county, this is what the channels that you're going to operate on. We're going to get that stuff all down on paper and actually agreed to, which is going to be a very good thing. For CSI stuff, the CRG mapping project continues on. Been working, we did get some insurance stuff taken care of that some of the schools were worried about, so that's been knocked off and taken care of. And then the county office, or the county buildings, we are in the process of trying to knock off as many of those as possible with the documentation that we have available. So we did do a kickoff for the Aware software project, which is the camera interfaces and the mapping interface that we did do a kickoff on. Expect that to be up and running probably by the end of the first quarter or so of next year. There's a lot of interfacing, a lot of stuff and training that needs to go along with that for the people that are going to be using that. So the tactical dispatch stuff, we supported the deployment of fire resources down to Orange County with some cache radios, make sure they were all set and up and running. Advanced telecommunicator, the drone first responder, drone in a box program, we've had some awesome improvement on that. We do have the 2 boxes in Fulton that are powered up and connected to the internet. We need to put a firewall out there and a secondary means of data communications, so we're still working on that particular piece, but we can log in and actually view the boxes now, and if you have somebody standing on the roof out there, we can actually remotely launch. The visual observation portion of it, to remove the person physically standing on top of the building, is we're going to be putting a camera, 360-degree camera, up on top of the Fulton office building. We had a meeting last week with our tower vendor, and he's pretty certain that that work will probably be done this week. So we'll have training that needs to go along with that, and the interface of that into the DroneSense software. But the end game is going to be that this DroneSoft remote software that we're using, all of this information is going to be funneled into that, and we'll have the ability to airspace monitor, weather monitor, and pilot drone all out of that piece of software, which is ultimately what you get. So start off with a 0.6 nautical mile radius around the location for testing and training evolutions. We can go up to 2 nautical miles for emergency response, which will cover pretty much the whole city of Fulton, and give us some good feedback on that. The locations down that we're working on towards Oneida Lake, those, as opposed to trying to get the landowners to physically allow us to build structures and put fencing and stuff like that up to make the equipment secure right now, we purchased a couple small trailers that we're going to mount the equipment to the top of, and that way we can secure that, monitor that, and as we kind of figure out the technology and stuff that's needed on the back end and batteries and stuff along those lines, will give us the ability to do that, as well as possibly if we need to relocate to a different area to try and get better coverage up on Oneida Lake until we define a physical build-out location. That's the route we want to with those for the time being. And then we're working on the third location. Will probably be up to the north. Don't know if now that snow's here, if that's going to end up being an option with trying to build out something on top of the roof. So with what we have, we're looking at possibly 2 different locations, one for each of the drone units, one on the highway building on 2A and one on the DMV roof at right in Pulaski, which would allow us some pretty good coverage of the Salmon River, and both be able to cover 81. So that's kind of the first phase 1. Well, there's 3 phases within that particular phase, but that's really where we are with that. But getting that first location at Fulton up and running is pretty awesome. Next Generation 911, a couple big things are happening on that. This Thursday, the New York State 911 coordinators board is meeting with the SAC board, so I'm going down to that meeting with Phil to talk about NG 911 stuff, and also just recently got put on the New York State NG 911 technical working group for that statewide. There's like 7 people or so that they've reached out, county people besides state technical staff. So to get in on the ground floor of that is going to be pretty good and going to be a very, very good thing for Oswego County. So 911 staff mental health. Our dispatch coordinator, which I brought her with me today, Danielle Richards. She has been doing some work on this, and we've had some initial discussions about trying to work on a statewide network of peer support for 911 people. So they've got a pretty good law enforcement-based one. We're trying to mirror that process and have them, so that way you're not necessarily, a 911 person talking to a cop or talking to somebody, somebody else. It's a 911 to 911 type person. Have that availability, which I think would be huge and be something that statewide would transform that peer support program. Beyond that, in your packets, I did add a one-page telephony denial of service, TDOS, and swatting overview. So if you get a chance to kind of go down through and look at those are 2 big things that do affect, can affect 911. We, knock on wood, are lucky enough to not have had a major TDOS attack, but we have had some of our emergency 10-digit lines that have been affected in the past by robocalls and stuff that have caused some issues with us. Swatting, though, we have had instances where we get a phone call of, that somebody just shot somebody else at this particular location. We send law enforcement and fire EMS out, and just to get there to find out that it's, some kid that's, playing on a video game that just beat somebody else and they got pissed off and called in a, swatting call against them. So, or there's nobody there. So that eats up a lot of resources. It's a very escalated particular type of incident typically, so it gets a lot of, and draws a lot of resources that we don't have a ton of in the county already. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit more information since that recently got sent out. So.
Is that what happened? I think you had, all of a sudden people showed up at my daughter's house saying you called 911, which is, no, I'm here alone, and nobody called it.
Correct.
So that was
Something
the thing
like
that's
that.
happening.
Yep. 100%.
Any other questions for Kevin? Richard?
Kevin, these locations you're looking for on the Night Lake.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are you looking for exactly? Elevated building?
We're trying to get as close to the lake as we physically can since we have such a small response radius at the moment. I mean, eventually the expectation is that we'll get like some of the other programs that are out in the western side of or southern tier. We'll have 5-6 nautical miles that we'll be able to respond to, so we might be able to get a little bit further away, but right at the moment we're trying to get as close to the lake shore as possible. So the 2 locations we're currently looking at are where our marinas that currently have agreements and are allowing the fire departments to store their boats there for free, and they already are using power and things along those lines. There's already a relationship. So, plus we have a good launch and land point there that, the locals are aware that there's emergency services that happen and things like that.
Because most, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I drive that 49 quite a lot until recently with a close down. Most of your municipal buildings and or your fire departments are right on 49.
Correct.
And that runs right along the lake.
But getting down to Constantia works out good, like West Monroe area, that's too far away, so
Right,
we want to
right.
be down in Toad Harbor area and try and be right on the edge.
Because maybe we could work out an agreement with the village and or the fire department and have it mounted on their building.
Correct. Once we expand out that response area, then we should be able to start looking into those options. Ultimately, something like that is the thought process. I mean, that Toad Harbor area,
That's
Big Bay,
different.
that's
Yes.
a long ways away from pretty much everything. But so we'll probably have some remote sites there at some point in time. But that's what we're kind of looking at.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on. District Attorney, Tony, you got anything for us?
Just some basic information. Call November, legislative updates and instruction with local law enforcement. We sent out ADAs, including myself, to continue our collaboration with law enforcement. Beginning of November, we were at first week of November, we're at Oswego City Police Department. The second third week of November, we were with the Fulton State Police Department and currently arranging a timeframe with the Oswego County Sheriff's Department to update on current legislative changes, as well as reiterate our responsibilities with the everlasting discovery laws. We're also, this month, we are receiving finally our in-person instruction for the third party that you allowed me to hire on our PCMS, Prosecutor's Case Management System, which is coming in at the week of December 16th for the full week for in-office training. So call it the next 2 months of continuous training. Other than that, I have continue on the job of prosecution.
Very good. Any questions for Anthony? All right, moving on. Sheriff's Department. Any updates?
We're moving into recruitment, waiting for a list to come out. We anticipate hiring 10 deputies. Corrections officer is always ongoing, same thing. We have a bunch of openings down there, and then we are starting the academy class for corrections also. Other than that, we're hoping recruiting goes well. Next, public safety meeting down at the
academy. At the new, I know you're excited about it, so am I, but I didn't, over the holiday, when you texted me, it'd be a lot to get hold of everybody before.
So the next meeting, we anticipate having it down at the new police academy.
Which should be in February.
Tour of it.
Okay, our next meeting should be in February, which is perfect, because I'll already be there, so it'll work out great for me too, so.
By then, the academy class is just about to start.
Okay, so tentatively planned on meeting for our February schedule, and we'll get that out to you long before the meeting starts. Any questions for the sheriff? Moving on, probation, Dave.
Thanks. Not a lot to report. Our supervision numbers are up a little bit. We're working on hiring. We were able to promote a probation assistant to a probation officer position, which is really nice. Been able to serve around through the great work, so that worked out. We exhausted the PO list at this point, so we've taken applicants for a provisional position. So we've got, I think, 6 applicants for that. So hopefully we'll be able to fill that, and we'll be completely full as far as probation officer position. We won't have any vacancies, so that'll be good. We have a senior typist that should be starting in a couple weeks. We have an ATI advisory board meeting this Thursday. Victim impact panel scheduled for the 18th of December. And as far as Stop DUI, we've got a couple agencies have done the high visibility engagement campaigns for Halloween and Thanksgiving.
Any questions? Concerns? All right, let's move on. Shane, fire coordinator.
Good morning. The numbers I've presented to you are from till October 31st. The office was activated 224 times. That consisted of 60 structure fires, 16 hazmat calls, 32 fire investigations, 15 dive, 1 rope, 91 no response required, and 9 other. We're winding down our training for the year. That's why you only see 1 class scheduled. That'll be this weekend. The instructors did meet. They've got a pretty extensive calendar laid out for next year, which I could share with you next meeting. The ERT's facility, we taught 300 classes with 1,495 students total, and with 1,715 hours of instruction. And then Oswego County was requested mutual aid to Orange County during the wildland fires down there. They sent out a request. County fire departments were able to supply UTVs and manpower. Granby Center was able to send a UTV. Phoenix sent manpower. Oswego Town sent manpower. Lacona and the Gospel sent UTVs and manpower. So there was about 20 people that went down to assist them. So just an update on that.
Any other questions, issues? All right, all we have left is search and rescue. They're not here. Do you have anything, Kathy, that you want to? I've got their report here.
You got the report.
I saw to note was that we did get some pretty good coverage on Bridge Street, News Channel 9 show for Project Lifesaver.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Aaron and Casey Hole, Dylan, and with the Canine Whiskey, we're all on the show. So it just shows our renewed outreach that we're trying to push and spread that Project Lifesaver program. So.
Any unfinished or new business anybody wants to discuss? Okay, look for the appropriate motion.
Motion
Okay. Does everybody have a happy holiday? I wish you all safe and joyous, Christmas.
As well.